an auctioneer is to make the
Okay,
items
you guys
sell
go
real
side by
good
side on
so
the
they
floor,
can
please.
buy.
Go side by side on
The
the floor.
best auctioneer.
Side by side means together.
Yeah. Like you tell them for one year love.
Now.
Marion deFries Peters, take one.
5 years, you remember when Wahiawa, I used to go Wahiawa, used to take us an hour and a half to go Wahiawa, now it takes only 20 minutes, because the big highway goes through there.
Yeah.
And just, I was there just 2 years ago, and just 2 years ago, everything changed. How fast, yeah? 2 years, Molokai can change real fast, and
yeah.
once it changes, we cannot go grab them back.
And then when those whole places, now for instance like the Monalua Gardens, I remember that Monalua Foundation. And I remember when I was a child, we lived on King Street near Decoy. And I went to the Kahamanu school, it's elementary school, about 2 blocks away. And we used to go out, the class used to go out to Monalua on picnics. And I remember that old Monalua Gardens, that's way back between the year 1905 and 1910. And then now when they think about building this Highway 3 through there, it just gives me the shivers to think that they're going to destroy that place to put in this highway, And
It's just like your lily ponds in your picture, with that coffee lemon. You don't never see that again.
Yeah, and then before we came here, we moved up to Waikiki. We were living out there, but Waikiki was, now you go along Kapilani, Kalakaua Avenue, and you can't even see the beach. You don't even know whether you're walking on 4th Street or on Waikiki. You can't see through. The buildings are just built from one side to the other, and you don't even see the beach.
Yeah.
And it's all those concrete buildings. And another thing, they've changed the names of the streets, They've built new streets. And I think the names, I think they just put letters together and call it the name of the street. I've never seen the funniest kind of names, the most meaningless kind of words, Hawaiian words.
Hawaiian words.
Don't mean anything. Now, my son lives at Pearl City, and the name of the street he lives on is Komomai. That means come in. Come in. Now, what's the sense of name of the street, Come In Street? Komomai means, Komomai means come in. So he was telling me, what's the sense? I said, well, that means anybody can come into your place, whether it's a friend or whether it's a thief or whatever it is. The street says, Komomai, you're welcome. That was, Hawaiians used to, that was more like, come in, make yourself at home. And they used to even have a way of saying, Komomai no kahali. That means, come in, the house is yours.
Uh-huh.
That means, make yourself at home. So one time I went to up here at Pascaya's house, and there was someone outside and was welcoming the people, and he said, Komomai no kahali, that means come in, the house is yours. So I said in Hawaiian, Hikina wau ke lave, that means, can I take it? Because he said the house was mine. I wanted to know if I could take the house. But that's the way the Hawaiians used to speak, But don't go naming a street Komomai Street.
No.
It doesn't make sense. Then another son is living in, this is Pacific Palisade, higher, Pearl City, upper. The other brother is living, the name of his street is Moke Moke. So my daughter-in-law asked me, what is the meaning of this street we live on? I said, listen, Kathy, to me it means nothing. There's no meaning to Amoke Moke. I don't even know of such a word as Amoke Moke in the Hawaiian language. So I think they just put letters together and call
In
it.
the Hawaiian dictionary.
Yeah, I guess they just say, all Hawaiian words have to end with a vowel, and two consonants will come together, and no matter how many vowels, they're all pronounced, well, then that makes a word, regardless of what it is. And I've seen the funniest kind of names of streets in Honolulu.
The language is being
Yeah.
disabused, I guess.
And you know, the streets before were named for a reason. You know, either something that had taken place in that particular place, or maybe it was named after some family, and there was always a reason for it. But I don't know, I've seen peculiar names of streets.
Well, what do you feel are some of the things that are going on Molokai, the directions that Molokai's headed in?
I think they're looking for development of the island, and maybe we do need development here, but I think there should be a limit to it, because we, the older Hawaiians, want to retain some of our regular lifestyle, and we want to keep in mind and remember the things that, like heiaus that they had on this island, and historical sites, and there are the fish ponds that we have here, and a great many have already been partly destroyed, but we want to retain some of those things, and legends, and historical sites and legends that we know of, on Molokai. And those are some of the things that we would like to retain and reserve. But if there's going to be too much development, then these things are going to be lost, because they'll run a bulldozer over some of the old ruins and put concrete buildings on it. And we don't want to see that happen. We like to retain some of the old things that we can remember about Molokai, because we can see in Honolulu where that has all been erased. We have all just a concrete jungle there now, and we don't like to see that happen on Molokai.
Would you want to follow that more or less?
Well,
Up to you.
talking about heiaus, we have on Molokai Ili Ili Opai heiau, and that's at Makulehu, East Molokai, and it measured 320 feet by 120, and the main platform was 285 feet by 85. And this heiau was in use until early in the 1800s. And they say that the rocks that were used to build that heiau were brought over the mountain from the north shore of Molokai. All those rocks were brought over. I think they must have just been handed, from one to another to get it across. And in Halava Valley, East Molokai, that valley was heavily populated during the ancient time, and there are ruins of 11 heiaus there in Halava. Then Molokai is noted for the fish ponds, as I said, and those fish ponds were built along the southern coast of East Molokai. And today we see some of them, but most of them in ruin. But one fish pond at Walapui is still in use. And it looks nice. Now, I was out at the Molokai shores, and looking out there, you can see a fish pond, you know, and it really looks nice to see the fish pond. And it seems a shame that those aren't kept in repair,
Yeah.
so that we could preserve, and when we talk about fish ponds, we got something there to say, well, that's what a fish pond looks like. And way back in perhaps between the 15th and 19th century, there were as many as 58 fish ponds that were built during that time. And then we have historical sites here that we would like to have preserved. And I have in mind a few, the Phallic Rock, and that's located north of Hoolehua, and on the hills of Hoolehua, that's the name of that place. And the legend of this Phallic Rock is that if a woman does not conceive, she can make an offering on this rock that would bring about the desired result. Then west of Hoolehua is a location of Uhani Lele. The word Uhani means spirit, and Lele is to fly or jump. So the legend is that the spirits go to that rock before flying off to paradise. And, and near Mauna Loa in West Molokai is a site where there was the poison tree, Kalai or Pahoa, and it said there was a site there where this tree was supposed to be growing. And cuttings or scrapings from this tree, if put in the food of an enemy, would prove fatal. And that's a poison tree. And at Klu'aha, East Molokai, are the ruins of the Klu'aha Congregational Church that was built in 1835. We were trying to, I was on a committee where we were trying to make that a national site, but I don't know what, and then I think because I was serving as secretary and that committee had to write to Washington, and they were trying to get funds, you know, to have it as a site, but
A lot of work, huh?
yeah, nothing came of it. And at the base of Molokai's 2,000 feet cliff on the north shore is a picturesque village of Klaupapa. And the site set up by King Kamehameha in 1865 as a colony for Hansen disease patients. And well, now I think the disease has been controlled, we might say, but the people there live there because they don't want to leave. Maybe they feel that they wouldn't be accepted in the community. You know, people say, oh, those are lepers, and so. But it's a very beautiful place, and they have nice homes there set up for the people. And at one time I was down there, they have for hedge, they have a gardenia. We have hibiscus, but down there they have gardenia for hedge around their place, and when it's in bloom, it's beautiful and it's sweet. Then at Kalamaula, we have the Kapuaiva coconut grove, And that was planted by King Kamehameha V. He came here to this island and he liked Molokai. And he had 1,000 coconut trees planted on 10 acres of land. But of course, what is now the coconut grove is just a part of that 10 acre. But if you look around, place adjoining, you could see coconut trees all set together, and you can know that that was part of the 10 acres where 1,000 coconut trees were planted. And he was also the one who had deer imported here to Molokai. And down at the entrance to the wharf, where there's a canoe shack there, or there's a platform, and he had a house built there. That was his home. And that was called Malama. I mean, that was, I don't know why, but that was the name of his place. So today you see in town, Alamalama, that's the name of his street. So then you wonder why they use the word Malama, but it has something to do with King Kamehameha. It's home. And another thing, the Protestant church, the one that's opposite the Coconut Grove now, used to be down there. Yeah, I mean in that location, close by the water edge. And birds that come from the mainland, they come down, and they alight on the water. So they call that Kala'e Akamanu. Kala'e means a resting place. Manu is bird. Kala'e Akamanu, the resting place of the bird. And that was the name of the church there, because the birds used to come down from mainland and rest on the water. So that place was called Kala'e Akamanu. And now that the church was moved over to Coconut Grove, now the name has been changed to Kala'e Akamanu Home. Home means new, but they still retain that Kala'e Akamanu. And birds used to settle there on the water, and that place was, for that reason, that church was named Kala'e Akamanu. Kahunas on Molokai were said to be very powerful. Perhaps the best known was the one who, Elani Kaula is his name, and he planted that kukui grove in East Molokai, and he lived in it. And to this day, the Hawaiians respect and show reverence and do not enter that grove. I know not too long ago the Hui in Molokai, they put up a fence around it, but nobody went inside to do anything in there. They just did what they wanted to take care of that place, so they put up a fence, I think, around it. And during World War II, when soldiers were stationed in this island, and they couldn't, they just couldn't think of anything as a sacred grove of trees. And so they went in there with an idea perhaps of desecrating the place, but they met with accidents and had to be carried out. And then in the higher part of the Halawa Valley is a beautiful waterfall known as Moa. And in order to be safe in swimming, one is required to, and if the tea leaf floats, then you're safe and you can go in. But if it sinks, then they said there was a serpent or something in there that something would happen to you. So if the tea leaf sunk, then you'd better not go in. But if it floated, then it was safe for a person to go in. I also feel that the Hawaiian language should be preserved. Our children should take an interest in learning and speaking the language. We have so many songs, Hawaiian songs with beautiful lyrics. And how would these children know the meaning of these songs if they don't know the language? I'm teaching Hawaiian language under the adult education program and would especially like to see Hawaiians take advantage of it. The course is free. They pay me for my service, but at no cost to them. Yet in my class I have Caucasians and Japanese, no Hawaiians. And so of course you can't talk about preserving the language if the Hawaiians don't try to preserve it. It's, well, I think it's not only the Hawaiian language. I think with any ethnic group, you should know, you should, take an interest in your own language. But here in Hawaii, we have children that are not interested in Hawaiian language, and I think that's a shame. Once a time, Molokai was known as the Lonely Isle. The reason being that the Molokai kahunas were reputed to be very powerful. And as a result of this, the chiefs of the other islands gave Molokai a wide berth and stayed away from the island. But it wasn't until Harold Rice, who was a senator, he changed the name from the Lonely Isle, which was the name Molokai, came to be known as the Lonely Isle because no one wanted to come here. And but he changed the name from the Lonely Isle to the Friendly Isle. And as more and more visitors are discovering the island indeed is living up to the new name, the Friendly Isle. I don't know whether you know Marlene Friedman, but she wrote a book on, maybe you can turn this on. She wrote a book on Molokai. Then the king of Kauai, well, he knew that the next move Kamehameha was going to make was to go to Kauai, and so then he ceded to, Kamehameha didn't have to go to Kauai. Kauai was the king of Kauai, so he ceded. So then Kamehameha was the one that united all the islands.
What else do you know about the kahunas? This island was known for
well,
kahunas. What do they mean by known? There were a lot of kahunas on this island?
Well,
or,
evidently there must have been lots of kahunas, because on Oahu there were people who had that power. So I'm sure that Molokai must have had that.
I said several, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
well, they trained there were some very good.
Well, I don't think they exactly trained. Maybe they grew up, that.
In an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they must have had a lot of kahunas, otherwise they couldn't have, built themselves up until the people were really, if they didn't have any at all, they couldn't very well say that. They must have had kahunas, but I know that Lenny Kaula was a very powerful one, but I'm sure there must have been others who practiced.
You don't know stories about the Mormons?
Well, not the ones on Molokai, but I do know about, I don't know whether I told you that there was one man in that my family knew very well, and he was a kahuna. And I remember one night that my father told my mother that he was not feeling well and he was going to see this man. So he went. And when he got to the house, the man was sitting outside on the porch, and he said, "I knew you were coming. I know what is wrong with you, and I have your medicine right here. Now, if you go to a doctor today, you have to tell the doctor what is wrong with you. The doctor would never say, I know what's wrong with you, I have your medicine," but that's what, and this man told my father exactly what my father would have told him. What's the matter with him? He told my father. And another instance I know of this same man, my father was a contractor and builder, and he had tools that he was very, kept in very good tools. And one day, someone took the tools on the job, someone picked up the tools. So he went to this man and he said, someone took tools, some of my tools on the job. And he said, I want you to tell me who took the tools. And so this man said, well, if I were to tell you who took the tools, what would you do? He said, well, I'll report it to the police because he stole the tools. So then he said, well, that would work a hardship on him and on his family. He said, you want your tools? And my father said, yes, they're, prized, they're very precious to me. So he said, tomorrow when you go to work, your tools will all be there. And when my father went to work the next day, the tools, every single one that was taken were all there. And he never did know who took the tools. So evidently, must be something on the mind that this man can work with them and tell them that you better return the tools. Well, that's the kind of things that I know of what the kahunas were.
Can you tell us about your early recollections of coming to Molokai? You came from Honolulu, the big city of Honolulu.
Oh yeah.
You were well educated, and how was your first 5 years here? How do you feel about that?
Well, I can go back more than that. I can go back to 1921 when I was making my first trip away from Oahu on a ship that was going to Hilo. And Molokai didn't have any house at all. There was just nothing on this land. So I asked someone on board that. I said, what is that island? And they said, well, that's Molokai. And I said, oh, what a desolate looking place that is. I wouldn't want to live there. That was in 1921. 1930, in the meantime, I got married, and my husband had this homestead that was allotted to him. So we had to come over here to live.
That was a drastic change for you.
Oh, yes.
High society, nice dresses, fancy Honolulu town in 1930 was a really fancy place, and coming to Molokai.
Oh, yeah, coming to Molokai. But then I grew to like the people, and well, it was my home. I had to settle down here whether I liked it or not. And
How was the first 5 years for your first 5-10 years?
well, there were things that, in Honolulu everything was so handy. You can get this, you can get that. With Molokai, we didn't have the stores where you could buy whatever you want. And my father used to tell me, he said, when you go to Molokai, it's going to shorten your life by 10 years. He said, you reach on the wall to turn on the light and there won't be any electric switch there. We had kerosene, kerosene oil lamps. And he said, you reach on there for the light switch and you won't find any light switch. And these roads were all dirt roads, and it was dusty during the summer, but muddy during the winter. Oh, we used to have chains on our wheels to plow through the mud.
It's changed.
Took a lot to overcome all that.
But you weren't exactly a farm girl, yeah? I mean,
No.
but, so coming
No.
out to Molokai
Yeah,
was
it was,
for you was a drastic
yeah, it
change.
was a change, yeah. But I had to accept it.
How do you feel after over 50 years of being a Molokai?
How long have you been on Molokai?
I beg pardon?
How long have you been on Molokai?
Well, this summer makes 47 years.
Oh, that's...
And then now I like Molokai. And when I go to Honolulu, it's to go maybe to a meeting or to a conference or to something like that. And when that's finished, I'm boarding a plane to come back. I don't like Honolulu. I can't stand the traffic, and every place you go to, the cars are all there. You think maybe if you're going way out in the country, there'd be no cars, but they're all there. You go on the windward side, the cars are all there. You go out Waikiki, they're all there. Yeah. So
You've adjusted
yeah,
to Molokai.
I've adjusted.
When did you build this house?
No, it didn't. This house was built, of course, it's been remodeled, but it needs replacement now. 1929, the house was built, and then we came in 1930.
Ah.
So
So now we have to have someone to take over. You have to show that you have an heir to your place. And so I don't know whether you met Richard.
Haven't been.
No. Well, you see, when I married Mr. Peters, he had 3 children by former marriage, 2 boys and 1 girl. And the girl married and had a family of her own, but this boy, when he was 11 months old,